I feel like I'm sitting on like a slope here. I'm sitting like an incline.
Yeah.
Because things like up in the air.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. It's an old couch. We've had this one for.
This old couch.
I mean, I don't know. This was before I moved in here, so I honestly have no idea how long this thing has been in this house.
Our
so.
couch. In the middle of the room. Our couch.
In the middle of the...
Where we used to be on Zoom. Our couch. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of On a Couch Talking Sports. Yes, your eyes are not deceiving you. We are back with a brand new episode. And as always, I'm Robbie. This is Kyle. Hey, buddy.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey.
How you doing?
What's up? I'm doing okay.
I'm good. It's good to see you.
I noticed you too. I mean, it's been a little while since you've been on the screen and the couch and everything. So
That's right. That's right. No, definitely happy to be back. It's been a few weeks, but like I said, glad to be back and better than ever. Well, I don't know about that, but you know,
we're just back, and you
back
guys
in,
can.
we're not back in black though.
No, we're back in like navy and
Maybe,
gray, I guess you could
green
say.
pants. You know.
But I mean, you guys can decide if we were better than ever.
That's
you know,
right.
if we are, great. If we're not, then well, oh well.
But I will say this, Kyle. Even though we have not been on the air for the last few weeks, it does not mean that we haven't been getting together and haven't been doing a lot of really cool stuff, which is exactly what we're going to share with you, the audience, here tonight. But before we do that, though, I do want to send out a special shout out to our sponsors for tonight's episode, Zyman Organizing and Wes Woodson. Again, appreciate all the support from both of them, and their links will be in the description. Also, you know, big time supporters of Screen Time with Doug and Kyle. By the way, new episode just came out. Definitely
Yeah.
check that out. And the Sports Splits with me and Doug, which hasn't had a new episode in like 6 months, but we'll one of these days get off our asses and do something with that. But anyway, thank you to Wes Woodson and Zyman Organizing, and again, links in the description. So we have a multi-pronged, very busy show for you tonight as we return from our weeks-long hiatus from here in YouTube land.
We gotta catch you up, you know.
We gotta catch you up on what's been going on. So, just quickly, here are the 3 things that we're going to cover on tonight's episode that Kyle and I have done in the past however many weeks it's been since we last filmed an episode. So first off, actually right down the road from where we are right now, here in glorious Medford, Massachusetts, the other week, Kyle and I went and saw a lovely show. It was sort of a comedy show. That show was borderline musical, like musical, concert, comedy show, whatever you want to call it. We'll get into that in just a couple of moments. But we saw Randy Rainbow, who is an excellent YouTube sensation and artist, and just really, really good stuff there. Again, we're going to get into that in just a minute. Then, about a week later, Kyle and I had the opportunity to go to BC Michigan State hockey, which was an awesome time as always, which we'll get into.
Incredible.
And then lastly, this past Sunday, Kyle and I made a little day trip up north to Portland, Maine, which was a spectacular time as well. And again, we will be filling you all in about it as we go along here. But actually, for the first segment, I want to turn it over to Kyle to give us, or to sort of lead us through the discussion of our first event, and sort of the chronology here, which was the Randy Rainbow show. So Kyle, why don't you take it away for this segment?
So, well, first off, it was at the Medford, the main kind of theater in Medford, the Chevalier
Theater.
And it was actually the first time I had ever been there. Even though I know it's funny that I live like really close to it, but I just had
literally
never,
walked
like,
there from here. Like it's that close.
It's like at least like maybe 10-minute walk. It,
Yeah.
it really wasn't much at all. It was and you know, despite all the rain we had that day, it was.
You know how close it is when we walked like in some amount of rain to get there. And
Yeah,
we're okay with that. So.
I mean, normally you're right. Like if it was like any other event at any other theater, pretty much it would. I feel like we would we'd definitely either drive or take the train there or bus or whatever. But no, in this case, the walk was doable, rain or shine. So, and first off, I was just gonna comment really quick on the theater itself and just how I never realized how big it was, and it was a really great experience. And I think it was a very kind of old school theater. I liked it because there was a whole balcony section, and there was a whole section, obviously in the first level, and it was nice. I feel like wherever you sit in that theater, you can still get a good view of the stage. A little bit like when you go to like MGM. Although obviously that theater is a bit newer and bigger, so it's hard to kind of compare the Chevalier and the MGM, but it's kind of got a similar vibe where you can kind of you can still see really well what's going on in the middle there. So definitely a great theater to go to if you decide to see a show there. There's a lot of great acts that go there, but yeah, Randy himself was just he was funny. Like, so I hadn't really known Randy Rainbow, that much prior to the show. Like, I know you had introduced me to a few of his videos, and they were hilarious. He's very much a political kind of personality on YouTube, and he definitely hits on he definitely rags on a lot.
He's very liberal. He's very liberal. Let's be honest about it. He's very liberal, like political, like commentator, performer.
Yeah, like and he kind of rags on a lot of like the hard right people there.
Oh God, yes, does he?
Just mostly on the crazies or the crazier people on that side, if you will.
Yes.
And he turns that into like a musical, and he has a lot of different songs and videos to go with those songs. On his channel, and he brought a lot of them to the stage, which I thought was really cool. You could actually see the video on the screen in the background, but he also had these great kind of like interlude sections as well, while he wasn't performing, and which, by the way, he had an incredible wardrobe. Like, just a great, it was just great kind of show. It was a great visual kind of feast, if you will, just to kind of see what the video in the background and him just kind of performing, singing on the stage there. But he also had some great like interlude moments too, where he made these like kind of fake ads where I think there was like a couple where Donald Trump was kind of like was going
the
against
attack
him
ads, pretend fake attack ads against Randy Rainbow. So I don't mean to jump in here for a second, but I just want to sort of fill in some context here. So the event itself, the tour itself that he's doing is called Randy Rainbow for President. And so basically what he does is he basically like makes it into like sort of a fake campaign event where he's like, pitching himself as president in 2024.
So it did have a whole
to
theme,
the audience.
Right.
But the other thing is, like, Kyle was just mentioning this, his YouTube videos, the content that he makes, he takes current political events or current political figures, as Kyle is saying, and he writes songs about them set to musical numbers from actual, like, hit musicals. So, like, he did one, I'll give you an example. He did one that I really liked was called, he called it Sedition, and it was about Donald Trump and January 6th and 2021 and all of that. And he set it to a song from Fiddler on the Roof.
Yes, Tradition.
Tradition, yes.
Sedition.
Yeah, so he, exactly, he, that's kind of his brand of comedy, theater, sort of performance or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But no, I agree with you. It was a fantastic show, and he really like lived up to, and I didn't really know what to expect either going into it, because I'd watched him on YouTube. I really liked his stuff, but I didn't know like what that would translate to for him, like, on stage. Like,
like, was it gonna be more, because you're right, I was the same way. Like, was it gonna be more like stand up? Was it gonna be more just like a concert where he was gonna sing his songs? And kind of, I guess the best way you can put it was kind of all the above. Like, it was kind of like a little bit of a stand up at times, but then also you had him sing his hits from his channel and stuff like that. So it was kind of a nice blend of comedy musical, So
it lived up to the hype, for sure, in my mind. And Kyle hit the nail right on the head with the theater. Great layout of a theater, very very enjoyable. venue to watch a show in. So definitely,
I go back.
yeah. Oh, I would too. So definitely give it 2 thumbs up. Both the performance for me personally, give both the performance and the venue 2 thumbs up.
Agreed.
100%.
Yeah.
But anything else you wanted to add in there?
No. I think that was that. No, it was just a solid show, and if he or anyone else that I really like that comes back to that theater, I'll go. I'll go back. So.
Absolutely. So now turning back to sports world. Like I said, last Thursday, or not last Thursday, 2 Thursdays ago, Kyle and I had the occasion to go to our good old BC sort of, BC stomping grounds, if you want to call it that, and taken BC Michigan State hockey. And it was great Thursday night of hockey over at BC. BC won the game 6-3, which was awesome. And it was just a fantastic time and a great crowd. And obviously when BC wins, that's always very exciting. And yeah, I just had another great time watching some BC High. This is actually my second game that I had been to so far this season. It was just a fantastic game and night and atmosphere. And yeah, Kyle, what were your thoughts on our another voyage over to the good old county forum there over at BC for some puck?
I mean, no, it was great. I loved watching the game. It was a very good game, like you said, very very tight in the score there. And the only thing I was a little disappointed at was the unfortunately the pep band
I know
to play. So
I know Kyle loves the BC pep band. Unfortunately, on that particular night, they were not performing. Unfortunately,
yeah,
they haven't actually been performing in any of the games I've been to so far this year. Yeah, I don't know if they're just
interesting.
I don't know what the deal is there, but yeah, no. So
okay. Well, hopefully get to see them in the future because they are a terrific pep band. They do have a lot of really great.
There was an organist though, so that was kind of like they do have an organist that plays, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. It has that kind of classic kind of game feel, if you will, which is yeah. So, but no, it was a great experience as always. I always love going to the hockey rink because the rink itself is very spacious. Some of the sports venues I've been to in the past, like they're a little tight, especially when you go in those like kind of folding seats there. And I'm not always the biggest fan of sitting on those seats, but here it was nice because you actually get a lot of room, and so that's always a big plus.
And there's really nobody next to us either, like, so we were able to have a good amount of space, which is always a nice thing. I gotta correct myself on the score. It was 6-4 was the final score. So
yeah, it was pretty tight. It was good. It was and a completely random note. I just a quick shout out to the chicken tenders and fries that were there. I loved it. So yeah, good stuff.
Very good stuff.
They have those like kind of wedge sort of potato, almost like slight like they have the like potato wedge fries. Yeah, yes. I love that. So it's definitely check it out in the corner of the rink. It's like if you go kind of in the outskirts, and you'll find I think one or two of those stand in the.
Yeah, if you ever go to County Farm over at BC, the food there is pretty decent. I would say so myself. Whatever your heart's delight. There, and it's always at the end of the game we had to hit up our favorite ice cream spot, White Mountain Creamery, across the street for a little post game treat. So can't go wrong with that. Yeah. But yeah, that was fun experience. A little bit of college hockey for Kyle and I, as you folks know at home, we've always enjoyed various college sporting events, especially college hockey over the years. So definitely glad to be back. And then last, but certainly not least, this past Sunday, Kyle and I made the trek up north.
To the north.
Yes,
King of the North.
We the north. To Portland, Maine. Which actually, it was really Nice. It was a nice day weather-wise. Turned out to be a nice day weather-wise. Was not that long of a trip. Sort of this time of year on fall weekends, you actually don't run into that much traffic like you would on maybe like a summer weekend or something like that, heading up that way. So it only took us about like an hour and a half to get up there from here, which was fantastic. And folks, I gotta tell you, if you have a chance to visit Portland, Maine, take it. It was fan-flippin-tastic. Just do it, as Shia LaBeouf would say. But it was just fantastic. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. I had an amazing time. There was a lot to do, a lot to see. Speaking of sports, we did get to see the Portland Sea Dog Stadium, the outside of the Portland Sea Dog Stadium, which also happens to be right next door to where the Maine Red Claws, who are the minor league team for the Boston Celtics, play. So that was pretty cool. It's also a double whammy there. But yeah, I mean, Kyle, let me turn over to you, because I mean, I know you and I have just been for the last week raving to whoever we could find, whoever we could tell about this trip that we took. So why don't you tell us all about it from your perspective?
I mean, it was fantastic. Like, it was just it's a very walkable city. It's a very different city too than when you look at it compared to like a Providence or a Boston kind of type of city. And they I feel like there's kind of like there's different kind of types of neighborhood that it's mostly just kind of neighborhood, but then they do have actually kind of like a main city area of that, where there's a lot of tall buildings. And that area was interesting because we were walking through actually a good chunk of it, and we had even we just kind of stumbled upon like a path kind of like right by the water area, right by the kind of the docks, if you will. And it was nice to just kind of go around, and we got a pretty good exercise just kind of walking all around the city there, seeing like what's out there. And
we didn't even really intend to, but we were just like, ooh, a path, let's just see where this goes. And we just kept on walking, and ended up like 3 miles later, just like kind of got all around the city pretty much.
Yeah, right. Because our original plan was when we got there, after having, by the way, a fantastic lunch over at the Latin American restaurant Hero, which is, if you guys can find it, it's definitely worth going to. It's fantastic. I had a quesadilla, and I know you said you had a
burrito. Yeah, very good chicken burrito.
So good. It's just, I literally, because I had been to Portland a couple times before, and I had kind of stumbled upon that. I think it was on my last or second to last trip that I had gone on, and it did not disappoint. So, it was nice to go back there, and because when we after we had finished lunch, we were planning to go kind of more where the city was, and we didn't really have an exact like path per se, because we had a lot of time in our hands before even going to, because we had stayed there kind of through dinner time, which is nice. We had decided to kind of do like an early dinner, and we'll get to that in a bit. That's another big highlight of that.
Yes.
But we had decided to just kind of go check out what the waterfront looks like, and sure enough, we did get there, and we just stumbled upon this really cool bike/walking path, and we just hopped on it, and we just kind of followed it, and saw where it took us. And it was kind of an adventure in its own, and it was a lot of fun. And we concluded that the people, I would say the people overall in Portland,
God, they were
are
awesome.
Right?
They were just so nice and so friendly.
Super, just incredibly
just random
friendly,
people just like walking by on the street being like, oh, hey, how are you? Oh, hey, have a great day.
Yeah.
Like this random woman, like on the path, we were looking at a map of the because they like certain parts along the path, they had like these little maps to show you where you were, and we were looking at a map.
Yeah.
And she just stopped us like, oh, are you guys not from around here? You should really go look at this and this and this and this. And she asked us where we were from. And all that. I was just like, it's just so, people are just so nice up there. They're so friendly. It's like, you just don't get that, like, as much down here, in good old Massachusetts. And it was just nice and refreshing. And it was just great. It was just great. I loved it so much. Like,
yeah, you just had a good feeling when you were there. Just a good vibe overall. And, actually, speaking of also good vibes, because even before, kind of after we had lunch and before we had ended up on the path, we actually did stop at a donut spot called Holy Donuts, and Holy Donuts were they good? I had to like literally they were so good. They might have honestly, I think they might have the best kind of cake style donuts because that's generally what they do. You know, there's two different kinds. There's a lot of places do either raised style, which is kind of more fluffy and a little lighter, and then you have the classic sort of cake style donuts, which is more of like it's a little heavier, little but still just as good. And they I think had the best cake donuts I've ever had. Just incredible, just show stopping. Like they had flavors like vanilla, like apple cinnamon.
Yeah, I had the vanilla donut, which was really really good. Yeah. I definitely would highly recommend it.
It was incredible. I love that spot. Like because I had heard about it from one of my friends, actually from our friend Jerome, who had been on the show before, and he recommended Holy Donuts. That was one of the spots he recommended. Actually, we'll get to the other one in a second. But they have a lot of great. They even have like chai. They have like ice, like a chai vanilla chai icing on it. Just like, and they even had like I think this is the only place I've ever seen. They had it was a chocolate. It was a chocolate cinnamon donut.
Yes.
Cinnamon sugar. It was.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it was so good. So good.
I mean, again, just a fantastic place and what was a fantastic trip. And I think we have to sort of bring up the rear here and bring it to the sort of the crescendo of the day, which was.
I mean, we've been building up, so.
Well, actually, the one thing I did want to say first, that you kind of knew of, that I thought was kind of interesting was that we did stop before we went off to dinner. This little tiny sort of record video game store, whatever you want to call it, sort of right again by sort of that center downtown Portland area, which I thought was actually, I mean obviously you the main reason we went there is you wanted to look for a couple things, but I thought it was a really interesting little shop that they had there, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like they it was kind of like it had a lot of older stuff there, which is really cool. So it was kind of a variety shop, if you will. They had a lot of different kind of media. So they had vinyl, CDs, VHS tapes. It's probably one of the few places that I've seen that still carries VHS tapes for sale.
What's a VHS tape, Kyle?
Oh, well, it's a little tape that I'm sure you guys know that. And
our younger audience would be like, what are you talking about?
Oh, yeah, I know, because all streaming nowadays, you guys have never heard of VHS tapes. You never had to rewind anything, right?
Oh, God, yeah, you don't know how good you had it, yeah.
Yeah.
A VCR? What is that?
Yeah, what? Why do you have machines to play movies like now? But no, it was a cool store. They even had actually old school video games too, which is it was so good. It was just nice to kind of check all that stuff out, and so I would definitely go back there. I feel bad, I forgot the name of the place, but it's right in the city. They I think they have a couple places that are kind of like that, sort of just nice little variety, sort of mom and pop style shops, and they're cool. It's very cool. You got even if you're not shopping for media like I was, I feel a lot of other options to whether it's clothes or just if you want to look for gifts, souvenirs and stuff like that. They got a lot of good shops there for all of that. So
agreed.
But yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, building up the crescendo of the day, Kyle and I went to this amazing restaurant, and I don't use that term loosely, called Duck Fat. And folks, when I tell you this place, I give it 5 stars, 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I give it 11 out of 10.
On just all different sort of criteria. It was absolutely fantastic. The service was great. We had this guy serving us who was just awesome. He was hilarious. He had this great attitude. Again, we were talking about the people of Portland. This guy was
he kind of embodied Portland.
He really embodied the spirit. No, you're not kidding. He really embodied the spirit of Portland, to a T. I mean, this guy was just awesome, really upbeat, and just would strike up a conversation. Was just a very cool dude, and even just the people, the way it was kind of set up was it was almost like like a bar like counter slash area that we kind of sat at.
Yeah,
it was kind of an interesting seating configuration, and my reason for saying that is actually we were sitting next to begin our meal. We were sitting next to this couple. I guess they're from New York. And they were just so nice. Again, I think the wife's originally from that area to begin with or something.
Yeah, I think they did mention that. Yeah, that's right.
But they were just like so nice and like talking to us, and it was just another great interaction with people in the city of Portland. So
yeah, it was fantastic, and like you said about I'm not sure if that was the restaurant owner, the guy that was serving us or anything, but he definitely had that aura that he like. I feel like he did own the restaurant, or he was just at least very excited about working there, and just the fact that he struck up conversations with like every table that he went to that he was like serving at, and it was just like, and the food itself was just unbelievable. The French fries that's what they described. They put that place on the map apparently, and the French fries did not disappoint. They were some of the best fries I think you'll ever have. I can't think of too many other fries that are honestly better. So they're these nice hand cut fries, and you can actually pick what kind of dipping sauce you have. That you can, they have a whole like variety of dipping sauce. You can even actually order. We didn't do this, but you can order a flight of dipping sauces, and it has like every dipping sauce from the restaurant.
I know, right? It's like
five or six.
That's pretty wild. Like,
yeah,
I agree.
It was so good.
Yeah, just the best way to end just a really good trip. And I know Connor and I are talking about that we want to at some point in the near future get back to Portland. It's happening, folks. We're definitely not gonna stay away that long. Because actually, it's funny. I know you've been up there, a little bit more recently than I had. But honestly, the only time in my life that I think I've been in downtown Portland or like that area was like back all the way in like elementary, like middle school age when I went to a Portland Sea Dogs game with my family. But other than that, I really haven't had a reason or occurrence to actually hit up like Portland, the downtown Portland area. So I definitely want to go back in the near future because it was a great trip. I mean, can't say enough good things about it. So. But yeah, so that's kind of what we've been up to these last few weeks. Definitely a lot going on. I'm glad we were able to kind of jump on and catch you guys up on what we've been up to, our escapades and stuff like that. But now it is time to transition into, as we always do, the back portion of our episode with our two favorite segments that. It's been a little while, but actually for the Robbie's football recap, I've actually been kind of, as you've been seeing on our page, sort of keeping up with it. I hope. I was
about to say you've been pretty. I hope you
guys enjoyed my my Robbie's football recaps from my walks that I've been doing, which has been kind of a fun little change of pace. But I guess I'll go first with my Robbie's football recap for this week. Back on the couch, fantasy football. I had a tough week. Lost in both my leagues, kind of handily in both. Just not a good week in fantasy football. But I'm still above 500 in both leagues, so can't really complain all that much about those. In terms of favorite football teams, Wellesley High won their first playoff game last Saturday, handily actually beating Belmont 42-0. So, big win for them. Very happy.
That's a huge win.
for the Raiders, and they're actually currently playing in the Division... That was the Division 2 round of 16 that they played in last Saturday, and now they're currently, actually, as we speak, playing at Catholic Memorial in the Division 2 quarterfinals, or Elite 8, whatever you want to call it. Over at CM. I think last check they were down 21-7 at halftime. So we'll see what happens there. BC won their 5th game in a row last Saturday, last Friday night, defeating Syracuse. On the road at Syracuse. So they're now 6-3. They'll be back in action tomorrow, recording this on a Friday night. There'll be action tomorrow afternoon, hosting Virginia Tech. Can't wait for that game. Cool. Patriots lost again to Washington. Another close loss, 20-17. They're now 2-6 on the year. Yeah, 2-6. Just been a tough year for the good old New England Patriots. So not much more to say there. But that's this week's Robbie's football recap. And now, let me kick it on over, no pun intended, to Kyle for what I'm sure will be another riveting Sue's review. So it's all yours.
All right. So guys, I did it. I
don't know what he did, but he did it.
I did it. A while ago, I want to say this must have been back in like May or June. I had done a Sue's reviews, the review so far of a game I was playing. A little tiny indie developed game called Zelda freaking Tears of the Kingdom, which I'm sure no one's heard of. Just kidding. Literally everyone's heard of this game, I'm sure, by now. And, it took me a while. And within last month, I actually finally beat the last boss, and I just kind of wanted to bring a review, just kind of a last review, and overall what I thought of the rest of the game. Overall it was a terrific experience. I absolutely loved that entry in that game. There were so many things that game did right. And like Breath of the Wild, the game that came before it. It is a direct sequel to Breath of the Wild, which is really cool. You don't get that a lot in Zelda. Not a lot of direct sequels. They usually just kind of reboot Zelda all the time. There's always a new Link, a new timeline, and all that stuff, and it gets really confusing. But it was nice to just have another game in this particular universe of the game series. So, what did I think of the rest of the game since I talked about it with you guys? All those months ago. The exploration was top notch as always. I liked how they kind of had 3 levels of exploration this time. Now in Breath of the Wild, they had a huge, you could explore all of Hyrule, and there was so much to do, so much to see. So what's wrong with taking the back street? That's how that game works. You always get sidetracked to do like all these different side quests, and sometimes it would take forever to get to the main quest because there were so many other things to do, and this game was just like that. It was just like but I liked how this game is actually much longer, I would say, than Breath of the Wild, because there's a whole sky section that you explore. You get to hop on some sky islands, and there's a lot more kind of like using your paraglider to get to different spots than even in Breath of the Wild, I would say. They really made good use of it, and there's a whole underground section of it too called the Depths, and there's just so many secrets down there. I haven't even I've explored a chunk of it, but I haven't found all the secrets yet. There's like all these different costumes you can unlock, like Legacy Zelda costumes, and it's great. It's fan. They really do a lot of good fan service in this game, because you do get to unlock a lot of cool different armor from this game that they introduced with new moves. Like you can climb mountains that are while it's raining without slipping, which is really cool, because that was a big problem in Breath of the Wild, where you would, if it was raining in the game and you climbed a mountain or something, then Link would always slip, and so they had an armor that could prevent that for the most part, which is nice. But then you also have other Legacy Zelda costumes from other games, so you can make Link look like a different version of Link, which is really cool. The temples are the only thing I thought that was a little bit the weak point. So they kind of did the same thing as Breath of the Wild. They had 4 kind of major temples, major levels, if you will, that you do, and they're very basic, I thought. They don't. I think that the temples, the levels in the other games actually were much better, and I think they had much better puzzles, and they were definitely, like, it took a bit longer to kind of go through them, because there was a lot more thought going on. There was a lot of just kind of more developed scenarios, if you will, whereas in this game, I remember every time I went into a temple, I would just defeat it like in like 10 minutes almost. Like it would just take like no time. I would get to the boss right away, and it was usually easy, very, very easy to figure out what to do. And that part of it kind of disappointed me yeah, a little bit. I wish they had kind of like developed the temples a little more. But you know what? For a game that big with that many things to do, like I get it. It's a lot going on. The last, which leads me to the last boss battle, which is much better. Which is one of the best final boss battles I've ever faced. I don't want to spoil too much, but you do fight Ganondorf. I mean, obviously you knew because the game literally tells you in the opening, yeah, Ganondorf is back, and he's the main villain of pretty much all the Zelda games, or at least most of the Zelda games. And it was nice to see him back. And unlike Breath of the Wild, which kind of just had two stages, you fight Ganondorf, or you fight like Calamity Ganon, who's like this evil entity spirit kind of thing in the first part of the battle. Then you fight this giant like version of him in the field, and it was okay. It wasn't bad, it wasn't great, it was just kind of like, okay, whatever. It wasn't very challenging. This battle is challenging. Like it's challenging, but in a fun way, in a good way. Like I really liked it. It's hard to get to him too, because just they throw a lot at you, and you really have to they really keep you on your toes at the end of the game. Like when you think you just reached the end, like, oh, you haven't seen anything yet. There's a whole big stage of trials that you got to get through, and like you're right, just getting to him is hard. But when you get there, it's a great battle. It's fantastic, and without spoiling too much, they also actually have a little bit of a light reference to one of the Zelda games. One of the actually. To Skyward Sword, which is the one that came out for the Wii, and then they remade it for the Switch. They have actually a really nice kind of little nod to that game, which is great, because that was also a game where you could hop around in the sky, different sky islands. So in a lot of ways, this game was kind of a spiritual successor to that game. Kind of a nice little follow-up there as well. But no, it's a great game. I think you guys would have a lot of fun playing it. If you haven't played it yet, go ahead. You gotta play it. It's good. It's really good. And yeah, definitely recommended Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. You won't be disappointed, whether you're a Zelda fan or not. Just, it's a good game, so.
Good. Glad to hear, and thank you as always, Kyle, for that rousing review. And you folks should definitely take his advice, as always. So, that is going to wrap up this week's edition of On a Couch Talking Sports. Again, it was great to be back with you guys tonight. Mm-hmm. Hope you enjoyed, as always, tonight's episode, and can't wait to be back with the next one in the coming weeks. Again, big shout out to our sponsors, Wes Woodson, Simon Organizing. Links will be in the description. Big shout out to both of them, as always, for the support. That's going to do it, folks. And by the way, remember, you can find us here on YouTube. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us on Instagram. Again, don't find us in real life, though.
No, please don't.
Yeah, please don't. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, that wraps up another great edition. It was great to be back with you guys. And as always, that's Kyle. I'm Robbie. And we're signing off from the couch. See you next time.